So I grew up in Brazil, and I've always known, I was gay since I think that's something that you're born with. But like in my family, that was something that we never talked about. So I think that's why it's very important for me to talk about it now, because when I was a kid, that was something that you wouldn't be able to talk about. You had to hide. So yeah, I'm a he, him. So I was born in Brazil. When I turned 19, I came to New Zealand. I came to study geology. And once I was studying geology, I started working for Les Mills, and I just never stopped working for Les Mills. And that's it. Yeah, so I never actually worked as a geologist, but that's the reason why, because of Les Mills. But everything just happened for a reason, I guess.
I'm curious, is there any overlap of geology and fitness in any way that you've encountered yet?
I think like I was frustrated that I spent 4 years studying and I paid so many fees to not work in the role that I was supposed to. But then with time, I realized that the skills were transferable. Like by you completing a degree, it shows that you can actually learn, you can actually meet deadlines, you can write essays. So yeah, the skill is transferable. So it doesn't really matter. So that took some of the frustration away.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, I would say so many people I know that are so successful in what they do now actually studied something completely different, or they did a career completely different. And it's so inspiring to me and to like the students I've had in the past to tell them, be like, hey, even if you make this decision when you're 18, 19 years old to do something, it doesn't mean you have to do it your entire life. Most likely, you're not going to do it your entire life.
Exactly. Like you don't need to put yourself in a little tiny box,
Exactly.
You can find the box if you want to.
Yes, in the box, in the closet, no more. I I know in different countries of the world, pride means different things. Pride is celebrated in different parts of the world at different times. In New Zealand, where you've been, what does pride look like for you? When is it? What does it mean to you? And how do you celebrate it if you celebrate it?
So Pride here is in June as well. I think there's a lot of businesses that get behind and celebrate Pride. And it's really good to see, because there's the thing like when you go to a hotel or when you go somewhere where you're going to spend some time to see like a Pride flag, you instantly feel like welcome, so it's really cool to see so many people celebrating Pride. I think for me, there are quite a few reasons why we should celebrate Pride. I think number one is to, I guess, celebrate where we are today. Like a lot of people have made a lot of sacrifices to get to where we are today. So we need to acknowledge the past. And then the other thing, just to make people feel included. There's a lot of people who are probably still in the closet or like afraid to come out. And then the other reason would be because there's still a lot of work to be done. So it's just reminding that we still need to fight for rights. That's why Pride is so important. It's a reminder, and it's, I guess, to motivate us to keep fighting because we're just humans and love is love. So
thinking too, how much I admire the fact that you have come out more publicly in your second language. And I want to acknowledge the gravity of that, because when we think of coming out, it's a continual process, as we know, to every new person we meet. But I think a lot of folks listening to this may not understand the challenges of, okay, I want to help put words to who I am, but I have to do it in another language that's not my native tongue either.
I went back to Brazil last year, so I hadn't been back to Brazil in a very long time. And I didn't realize that like my Portuguese was so bad. Like my English is not great and my Portuguese is not great. That's where I am now these days. And it made me realize that like I had to come out all over again, like to my family. So what happened is when I was 19, I wasn't out to my entire family.
Sure.
Yeah. So I came to New Zealand and I lived my true self life here because Les Mills has always encouraged me to be myself. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. I went back and I had to like come out again to my whole family, you know, in my 30s. I didn't have to really come out to them. Like, it was kind of like they already knew, you know. I just had, when I went to Brazil, it came with my partner. So I just introduced my partner to them, and I wasn't looking for validation.
Sure.
And I wasn't looking for acceptance. So, you know, I think this time when I came out, I wasn't looking for those things. I guess the first time I came out, I was looking for that. And this time I didn't look for that.
When you're a younger person, you're lacking that support and that love through your own identity formation. You found that it doesn't have to come just from your parents or just from your siblings or your community. It can come from people that are more of your chosen family, the people you spend time with. They matter too. I'm kind of curious if you could kind of tell me more about your experience teaching or being a participant, how you've observed diversity in sexuality and gender within teaching in a group fitness studio.
Representation is very important, you know, because I think when I was a kid, some of the misconception about being gay, it wasn't normalized. As a kid, I would have liked to see someone like me, who looks like me, doing something inspirational. So I really think representation is key. So it's great to see that there has been a shift these days from TV into more like social media. So you see these days that like fitness trainers come in all different shapes, sizes, colors, flavors, and that has been amazing. And that's something I love. I love to go on Instagram and see all these different people who might not look like me, some look like me, doing all this stuff that is super inspirational.
Post-COVID, seeing so many new folks is so exciting too. And I think, you know, thinking back to maybe when you started taking group fitness classes, can you remember a time where you felt like really accepted, felt like, yeah, like this is where I belong?
When I was 15, I just remember doing my first body attack class, and I looked around me and there were people like that looked so different than me, and like some people that looked like me, and no one cared.
Yeah.
I felt really like accepted and included, and everybody just like, no one was competing with me. Everybody was there just to do their own thing, have a good time, and make friends, you know. So that's why I do the job that I do, is because if I can create that environment for someone out there, then that is my mission accomplished. I was bullied in school for like my sexuality, and because I was like a little bit overweight when I was around that age. So that was another factor why people would, you know, make fun of me. And then when I went into the gym, no one was making fun of me. And, you know, that is something that I always go back to, you know, when life starts becoming stressful and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got so much work to do. I got to wake up at 6 a.m. And then I go back to like my why, you know. So
I remember in RPM, for example, a lot of your layer 3 cues, for example, really focused around like, we all belong here. Like, this is a space to challenge yourself together. And those themes, I can't help but think, come from that space of things you may have wished you heard for yourself.
For me, like when I teach classes, I'll always come from a place where I want everybody to feel included. I want everybody to feel empowered. I will always think about the experience first in a normal class setting. So I'll always say what feels right for me. My goal is to like have fun and enjoy myself, because I think that when you take yourself into that space where you're genuinely enjoying the class and having fun, people around you have the same feeling. So when you start faking those things or saying things that you don't really believe in, people can kind of like, people can tell. So I just try and stay as true to myself as I can and say what needs to be said on that day. For master classes, it'll be, I'll have a lot of ideas, I'll script them out, and then I'll start with a script like that's 5 pages long. And then through the week, I will just weed out what doesn't feel right. So for me, it's like, it's a feel thing. If it doesn't feel right, I won't say it.
Another thing that comes up for queer people often is how we express ourselves externally. So our clothes, maybe makeup that we wear, or painting our nails, or the shoes that we wear. Is there a time or an experience you remember kind of wearing something or presenting yourself in a way that wasn't typically masculine or expected that felt really good?
I love that we're talking about this because I went to Diana and like we were sitting down, we're having a chat, and then we came up with like, oh, I want to wear a crop top, and I did like for tone 18 and core 47. So I was wearing a crop top. We want to normalize those things and we want people to see that and be like, that is okay, to wear in a gym setting. I think it's awesome for people to wear whatever they want to wear because when you wear something that you think looks good, you straight away feel confident. Imagine if everybody out there was, they were wearing something that they truly loved and they felt confident and happy. It would be a much better place. I think there's still a little bit of judgment. I have a friend that he wears a crop top to the gym and he wears like tights. So it's like clothing that is not the normal clothing for a male, and he still gets a lot of judgment from that. Every time I see him, I'm like, you're amazing. That is like super powerful, because I love to see that and I love to see people living with their true selves, so let's just make it normal.
Right. It makes you feel good, and that's what matters. I'd like to think too, there's even more people looking on to him or you wearing a crop top or wearing stuff that's not necessarily a men's cut that are inspired by that and maybe think, I wish I was brave enough to do that. And maybe that's a step forward for them seeing that in public that, oh, maybe I could try tights. Maybe I could try a pink shoe, which is it's so funny to think in 2023, we're still talking about these things, but it's true. There's still past judgment, and it's having to build that resiliency and that confidence in yourself and find your buddies like that too, so that you have that support system if you feel scared going in it alone. Want you to imagine you're teaching your class in Studio One and you look at the very back near the stairs and you see little Otto standing there watching you teach. What do you think that person is thinking? What do you think little Otto is feeling watching you teach today?
I think little Otto would think like, I want to be like this guy because he's living his true self. He has no, nothing is holding him back. He's saying what he wants to say. He's wearing what he wants to wear. And he's doing what he loves to do because I guess when I was little, I was never the athletic one. I was always the last one to be picked. And if it were like uneven numbers, I would be the one sitting on the bench, watching everyone play. I've always wanted to be like included and I've always wanted to move, but I never had the opportunity. And I was always told like, oh, this is not going to be for you. Because I was told like when I was about 18, because I wanted to be a Les Mills instructor, like my friends would be like, oh, you'll never do that. I think I let people talk me off my dreams a little bit. Young Otto would see this person and it would be very inspirational for them to see that could be achieved. If you're really passionate about something, you can break all those barriers. And if it is inspiring for young Otto, then that's the ultimate goal. I'll be very happy.
That is really special, Otto. I imagine little Otto would be so proud. And to all those people telling the 18-year-old version of yourself that you'll never do this, I hope right now they're on Les Mills Plus taking class from you.
I know. And I think those things do make you stronger. It makes me advocate for LGBTQI rights because I've gone through like prejudice and all those things. So I've been there and, let's start talking about it. Let's make things better.